Trevor, if you could witness any event in the Bible in person, which one would you want front row seats for?
This one's a little bit darker, but I'd say the crucifixion because
Oh,
I feel like being able to see that in person would help to convict me more. To be like, all right, this is what happened for me. Let me live a life uh, in connection to that sacrifice that was made for me. It
Yeah.
helps convict me to like remember that.
Wow, that's really good.
Yeah, it
I
feels
mean,
so
even-
much more real. Sorry.
Yeah, oh, you're good. Even reading about it is emotional, so I can't imagine seeing it.
Yeah.
Like I totally understand what you're saying. I don't know if I'd want to see it though. It's just really painful.
It would be hard.
But I get it.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen like there's all the different like the Jesus films, Passion of the Christ and all this stuff, and like seeing it play out every time I feel exactly what you were saying. Like I just feel a little convicted because it's like sometimes we gloss over it. You know,
Yeah.
when we're talking about, we're like, well, Jesus died for our sins and like, oh, and he wore the crown of thorns and like this and that. But like seeing it and seeing how much pain he went through, it's like such a deep reminder.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've gotten to hold like a crown, not like the crown, but like a crown of thorns before. And the like nails that, you know, these were the kinds of nails they would have used and like those kinds of like tangible things as well really, really impacts it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really
Very, very in depth.
very
Yeah.
insightful of you.
Yes, so
you
insightful.
picked something. I'd probably rather see the birth.
The birth?
than
That's
have
fair.
to see the
That's
death.
more joyful.
That's still hard. Go Mary.
I'd want to see a split of the Red Sea because I just like can't picture it in my head.
Oh, that would be
like
sick.
when they were walking by, were there still fish swimming in there? Was it like an
Maybe.
aquarium? That's what I want to know.
I think of the Prince of Egypt when they're walking. You can see the whale from the
Yes.
lightning strike.
Right?
Yeah.
That's what I want to know. I want to know how accurate is Prince of Egypt in
Yeah,
that regard.
true.
We know there's a few inaccuracies there, but like in the regard of them walking, how accurate?
Yeah.
Yeah. So many cool scenes in the Bible that I
Yeah.
wish I could see in real life.
Maybe the Transfiguration.
Transfiguration.
I wanna see that.
That'd
Yeah.
Kind of crazy.
Up on the mountain, all those dudes just appear. Oh, wow. No wonder Peter wanted to build a tent and just chill.
Mhm.
I probably would have been the same way. Well, goodness. Now I can't stop thinking about all these different Bible scenes. Anyway, welcome back, everybody, to the Impact Students Podcast.
We are your hosts, Abby.
And Julia.
And today we're joined by one of our awesome student leaders, Trevor Lehman.
Yeah, Trevor. Trevor, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
By myself. Well, I definitely attended this church pretty much my whole life, ever since I can remember. I was brought up in the church as a Christian. My parents have always been great leaders and role models for Christian life, Christian living, and how we are called to be as Christians. So that's a good start. Yeah, been in the church my whole life. Always been a Christian. Always will be a Christian.
Oh, I love to hear that. Well, Trevor, I know one thing that you and I have in common that we are like kindred spirits upon is we both love cats, right?
I
like,
love cats. I got 3 of them.
Yes, I love them too.
Put
But
this down here.
yeah, just get this blanket out of the
every time
way.
I shuffle, it falls.
There we go. If you could make any one animal your lifelong pet, like it is your companion forever, and it doesn't even have to be like a cat, it could be any animal. What animal would you actually want as your lifelong pet?
Well, it would be kind of a cat. It would be a big cat. Maybe something like a lion or a tiger because it sounds inconvenient. But if you've seen I remember seeing that one Instagram reel of that big lion. Like it was all like cuddled up.
when they're all
Very
cute,
cute.
Yeah.
cuddly.
And I
They
don't
look very
care if it's
cuddly.
AI, it's be very cute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You'd look super cool, like walking. I'm just imagining you like walking your pet downtown, like on a leash. And it's a lion.
Hey, nobody ever mess with you.
Nobody would have
Seriously.
ever
Yeah.
messed
You
with
would never, ever get attacked.
But then you know when you go home, you just getting cuddles with Mr.
Exactly.
Fluffy.
Be a sweet guy.
What a sweet guy. Well, going off too of what you've said, you know, I have always been a Christian. I always will be a Christian. And you've been brought up in the church. Can you tell us a little bit more about that and how you being raised in the church really shaped your faith?
Well, first, as early as I can remember, I was baptized at around 9. I remember being like freaking out, but being really happy to accept Jesus as my Lord and Savior of my life. And I remember getting in the baptism part, the baptism water.
Yeah.
I remember being really cold. I was like shaking. It was really funny. But I remember being baptized. I remember the feeling before and after. I remember being so anxious before and feeling so relieved that I'd finally been baptized afterward. So that's the very early life of, I was brought up, baptized at a young age. Now I'm on a student leadership team.
Yeah. Now you're here.
Now you're here. What do you feel like the difference is between, like, since you grew up in the church and you knew about Jesus for a long time, what do you feel like the difference is between knowing about him and really knowing him and having a relationship with him?
I would say the difference between knowing about him and knowing him is pretty much everyone knows about him, but not everyone knows him, like his personal things, what he did, what he taught, who he was, and who he is. I think a good way we can know who he is by reading scripture every day and just reflecting on his word. I feel like everyone knows about him, but it takes time and progress to truly know him.
Right. And to form a relationship with him, right? Like I can know about you, Trevor, but unless I spend time with you and I talk to you and I get to know you, I don't really know you. And I'm not a friend of you until we spend time together. So I think you're totally right. We really need to spend time in his word and spend time with him to really know him better.
Yeah.
Yes.
What have been some like real highlights, stand out? You'll get this reference, Ebenezer's of your life, those things you look back on growing up in the church. You mentioned your baptism as one, which is a huge one. Anything else that like really shaped your faith journey?
I would say a big part was I was at Ultra Camp one year and I don't sing often. I remember it was one of those worship times. I got up really close and I sung with everyone else. Everyone was singing, so I was like, no one can hear me anyway. Might as well sing with them. I remember there was a deep like warmness in my chest when I sung. It was very uplifting, and it was like, this is who I want to be for the rest of my life. I want to be a Christian.
That's so sweet.
As a worship leader, that made my heart soar.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what you sound like. He just wants to hear from you. So I love that.
Yeah. That's a beautiful scene to imagine too. Oh, just that warmness. I totally get what you're saying too. That warmness that fills you when you are worshiping and in connection with God. Yeah. Going through your life, we've kind of talked about this before too. So you were raised in the church, but there was kind of like a lull or like a pause, and really it got put on pause because COVID, which we talked
that was
about
a big
before.
part of COVID. A big part of it was COVID, around COVID. I would say it was around the 2020s, 2019 area. We're like, we didn't go to church nearly as much because everyone was concerned about the pandemic. No one wanted to get sick. And so a big part of that was just not being able to go to church. And then having Pastor Tone, my old youth pastor, swap out, it was like, wow.
Transitions.
Only youth leader I knew, he's gone. And I haven't been to church like in person for a year or two.
Yeah.
So that kind of, it didn't really knock me back down, but it definitely stunted my growth as a Christian. Like I missed out a little bit around that time.
Yeah.
How do you feel like Pastor Tone affected your faith? And then post-transition, like how has the youth group shaped you now? How like Pastor Julia and how the new youth group runs. How do you feel like Pastor Tone's leadership affected you then? And then when you came back and the transition happened now?
I would say Pastor Tone definitely helped my starting steps as a Christian. Like when I was in middle school, he definitely helped most with that because before, if you go like a couple years back, I would never be on a podcast. I would barely talk to anyone I didn't know. And Pastor Tone helped me out of my shell and ask questions about the faith and to be confident in that faith. I think the student leadership team helped me to answer questions about the faith and help other people out of their shell about the faith. So it's kind of went from Pastor Tone helped me to become a student. The student leadership team helped me to become a student leader.
Nice.
Put it that way.
Very nice.
Good transition.
Poured in so you could pour out.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah. That's good.
I like that. Was there ever a big turning point in your faith where you were like, okay, we're going to get serious now?
Serious now. I think student leadership team was a serious part because I was like, man, I'm leading people. I need to be the best I can because if I'm just Joe Schmo leading people, the best I can do is make other Joe Schmoes. And so if I'm
true.
so if I'm like studying the Bible, and praying daily, then I can help people to get up to that standard.
Yeah.
And then I need to step that up so I can get people up to higher standards, as high as I can make them.
Yeah. It's that whole leading by example. Even if it's not something people are seeing, they're going to see the change in your personality or the change in your attitude because you are praying behind the scenes kind of a thing.
And another thing is, Jesus, the people he called out the most were hypocrites. And so the big thing that came to my mind was like, I can't be a hypocrite when doing this. I can't say, you got to read and pray daily when I don't even do that.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that really was like, I need to get into the habit of doing that as much as I can.
Yeah. Leadership really like pushes you to set the bar higher and then just keep growing even from there too. Yeah.
That's really good. So we talked about like during COVID, there was a lot of transition. It went from Pastor Tone, you come back, it's Pastor Julia. There's a lot that's happening there. How do you feel like the pandemic though, and like when you guys weren't coming to churches regularly, we were having to do things on Zoom or anything. How do you feel like that impacted your faith during that time?
Impacts my faith? I would say I feel like it slowed what could have grown faster at that age. I feel like I'm not, how do I word this? Like, if I was at church around that time, I maybe would have gotten to doing stuff like reading and praying daily quicker and earlier in life. But I didn't because I was barely at church. And so it's hard to have that influence in my life. And I was kind of at a point where I relied on others to teach me faith. I couldn't actually go and do it on my own. Sort of deal.
So it created this period of like stagnant time for you. What do you feel like shifted that brought you back?
That? Definitely Pastor Julia when she came.
Shout out.
Originally when you first came, you saw it. I was really disappointed that Tone left because that guy, a lot of my very early memories of being part of the youth group were with Pastor Tone. So at first I was very grumpy about it.
Which is so fair. Like I wasn't even offended. I was like, yeah, I'm the new youth pastor. All these kids are already attached to this other youth pastor. So yeah, I totally understood.
Yeah, but you helped me with the student leadership team to get that final step of getting out of my shell and helping to lead others and to step up my personal faith life of finding these answers out for myself and helping to answer questions for others. So I think that was a very big step in my life.
Yeah, getting out of that stagnancy because, now I have something to be doing and something to be aiming for and a way to be growing. How has your real understanding of leadership changed over time?
I would say, that's a good question. I need to think on that for a second.
Thank you. I do my best to ask good questions.
How has my view of leadership changed over time? Well, yeah. I would say I've always had a positive view of like leaders in our church as like people that can help you, people that are there for you. But now that I can be on the side of leading, it's led to a position of these are my responsibilities. This is what I do. And it grants a better understanding of what the people above you do, the people who do even more than you. So it helps to have that gratitude.
Yeah, it kind of shifts your perspective a little bit. Yeah. I feel like when we're younger and we're not used to being in positions of authority, it's very easy to look at authority figures and say, oh, I would do that different, or can't believe this, and then when you step into that, it's like, oh man, this is a whole nother level that I wasn't even considering for other people. And it does shift your perspective. It's really good. I feel like it does give you most of the time a newfound respect for those people, which is like you're saying. Where do you feel like a specific moment when you realized that you were a leader and God was using you to impact the lives of others?
Probably when we first started leading like sermons like that. It was either last summer or the summer before that when I had to go up on stage and deliver a message because I'm not, even now I've gotten out of my shell a lot more, but I'm not used to being like on stage. So that was a big part for me. I was like, wow, I'm leading this. And when we had to like organize the scheduling and everything, I was like, wow, I'm leading this.
Yeah.
And so that was a big eye-opener and big kind of wake-up call. I need to get together.
That's awesome. And he is using you to lead. And it's really awesome to watch your growth and all that you're doing and how you've impacted the lives of others. I think not only do you lead on the student leadership team too, like you serve and you volunteer for us in a lot of aspects of the church. You're our number one rock and tech team in the in kids, and you do tech for the students as well, and you've done it in main service too. I mean, you really
service
rock there.
projects.
Yeah, and service projects. You guys and your family too, I know really has a heart for serving. And how do you feel like volunteering and serving has affected your life and your leadership qualities and skills?
I think it's helped me to be reliable and understand I have a responsibility to my community,
Right.
to help out in any way I can.
Yeah, that's
And
really
I try to
good.
be there as much as I can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really good.
Yeah, and I've definitely seen through your serving and your volunteering, and then even as you said with the student leadership team and what you talked about, like speaking at Impact, because we have at the end of the year, the very last Impact before we do summer break, that's the student leadership team. Like you guys are planning the whole thing, you're doing the message, you're scheduling the volunteers. So how in volunteering and in serving and in leading, how have you had the opportunity to take ownership of your faith or ownership of even the ministry you're involved in? And like, how has that impacted you?
I would say the two main things that impact my faith to pursue my questions on my own was student leadership team,
Mm-hmm.
because that's like I need to step up. I need to step up to lead others.
Yeah.
I would say the question nights that we have at Impact is like you can ask questions, and you can also look into these questions yourself.
Yeah.
Like someone, if you want to go deeper in a certain question, like wow, that's a great question, or yeah.
Yeah. The nights that we're like, there is no message. We just have a panel. We're answering questions
Yeah.
because everybody's got them, right? And
Yeah.
we want this to be a place where you can ask questions and then also hopefully get answers. And sometimes the answer is, I don't know, let's go figure that out together. So I'm always very passionate about those too. Thinking back on your life and your experience, maybe even like just like the past few years, what has been one thing that God's taught you that has been like the most transformative?
Most transformative. I would say daily and independent of others' devotion to God. Like you can't
Mm.
rely on others for your personal devotion to God. You can't say, "Well, I have to rely on my pastor to tell me this." You have to rely on yourself to say,
Yeah.
"I need to pray today. I need to pray for this. I need to read the Bible today." And I think that's one of the biggest things I've learned most recently in my life is I need to depend on myself for my faith. I shouldn't need someone else to tell me you're a Christian. I should be able to tell myself that and live that out.
Yeah.
That's good.
So like being engaged in community to help you grow and like connect with people, but also I'm not relying on it's not only my community that's growing my
Yeah,
faith.
like obviously the
I have
community
to
helps
take
you.
ownership.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the community helps you to grow out your faith, but you can't solely rely on the community to say you are a Christian. You need
Right.
to know that for yourself. You
Yeah,
need
it's personal.
to find that for yourself.
It's relationship. And
Yeah.
that's so true. I think like we're very impacted by community. We need community. But first and foremost, our relationship has to be on Jesus. I can't rely on others, whether it's for fear of man, of what they'll think, and I can't rely on somebody else's faith to be mine because that's not how it works.
Yeah.
I'm accountable for me and me alone. How do you feel like that, putting that into practice? Like you're saying daily relationship with God, I'm in his word, I'm talking to him, I'm developing this relationship for myself. How have you noticed that impacted your faith life, but also just your life day to day?
Life day to day. I think it's helped me to spot areas where I need to pray more. Like when I was growing up, I always heard people say, "I'd pray for you," but I always had a hard time praying for others because I barely prayed on my own. So having that responsibility of praying for others was kind of hard as a kid, but now it's like, well, I already prayed tonight for these people because I always pray for those people. When I
Right.
hear someone who's in serious need of like something that's they're going through, I'm like, oh, I'll pray for that as well.
Yeah. It's really good. Thank you.
Yeah. And especially those, those daily practices, we say the spiritual practices, but also the spiritual disciplines. And they're called a discipline because, well, you've got to make like a daily habit of doing them. What are some of your go-tos? Like, this is what I'm doing on the regular.
Doing on the regular, well, obviously reading the
Yeah.
Bible and praying every day. For Lent right now, that's been a big one. Giving up Instagram. Because
Oh,
Instagram,
fasting.
yeah, fasting. Particularly from like stuff that takes up so much of your day, and like you just almost do. It's almost like breathing. Like you do it by habit.
Yeah.
And it's like when I open up my phone, like I'll like, literally open up like without even knowing what I'm gonna do, and I'll just press Instagram.
Yeah.
And so when I figured that out, and I was like, wait, Lent's coming up. I need to give up something. That'll be hard for me.
Yeah.
And so I thought, I literally as I'm thinking about this, I open my phone like just muscle memory almost, and open
Opening
Instagram.
Instagram.
I'm like, wait a minute, now I know what I gotta give up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And those disciplines too, like that in and of itself is a whole other meaning to discipline of like, I'm giving this up because I'm giving it to God and I'm using that time that I would spend on Instagram to spend time with God. How has having like a discipline in your faith? I think this is something we don't always like to talk about because we like to talk about, oh, I have like a warm, fuzzy relationship with God and
Yeah.
these are all the ways God blesses me. But how does discipline play into faith and how has that really impacted you?
I think discipline has helped me in my life. It's where like you realize you are freed by God
Mm-hmm.
from sin, but you also need to discipline yourself so you don't just go straight back to sin.
Yeah.
And so you can discipline yourself by say it over and over, read the Bible,
Yeah.
pray, go to church. So stuff like those disciplines is you are bound to those disciplines. And it's better to be bound to those disciplines rather than to be bound by sin, of which the wages
That's
of sin
good.
are death.
Bars.
Yeah.
That was good.
Wow,
Trevor.
Trevor.
Yeah,
you
you're
are
freed.
spitting bars
You're
today.
freed from sin. You're freed from something, but you're also freed for something.
Yeah.
You know, there's a purpose behind that. Yeah.
I got a fun one for you.
Yeah.
You've grown up in church your whole life. You've been in Salem Fields almost your whole life. So that means you got a lot of church memories from
Ooh.
here. What's
Yeah.
been like your favorite event
My
or memory from
favorite
here?
memory or event.
Or one of, because I know there's
One
a
of.
lot.
Well, my favorite event here was probably the most recent lock-in night where we did like the laser tag. That was a really fun one.
Oh, are you talking about back to school laser tag?
I think it was.
Yeah.
That was fun because that's where I met Zeb. And Zeb
Yes, that was back to
amazing.
school laser tag.
Yeah.
Not a lock-in.
Zeb's
My
filming
mistake.
next
I don't do
season.
lock-ins.
Next one.
Yeah.
Yes, but
Mhm.
yeah, that was really fun. The laser tag, we had like Just Dance
Yeah.
and things like
We did
that.
a lot. I love doing that. I love
That was
the
fun.
community of that.
Yeah, just those fun nights
Yeah.
where it's like we just get to hang out.
I like those too. What's like your favorite event we've had district wide?
District-wise, I would say my two favorite camps are Ultra Camp and Winter Retreat.
Yeah.
I would say they're like neck and neck. Like,
Yeah.
I love Ultra Camp because you can wander around in the nice weather. You can play Gaga
It's
Ball.
true.
Yes.
You can see all these people you've seen like over the
I
years, and you
know.
can reconnect with them. And Winter Retreat's kind of like Ultra Camp, but a little bit more laid back. You're not like
Mhm.
running around as much. I feel like you're not
Mhm.
competing as much. So they both have like the different aspects of it. For like me, I'm very like in the center. Like I'm not extremely outgoing. Like I need to compete. I'm not like I hate to compete.
Right.
I like it
You're balanced.
balanced. So having Ultra Camp and Winter Retreat like at the top two of those are my favorites.
Yeah.
Nice. That's awesome.
So fair too. Those are probably my top two.
Yeah.
Maybe more Ultra Camp because I just love summer, but that's it. Looking though for you, you're so close to graduating and going on to the next thing, and well, I'll let you say. What are like your next steps for after you graduate?
Boot camp.
Boot
So
camp.
yeah, that's gonna be fun.
And you're enlisting in.
The Navy.
There you go.
Yeah. Listing in the
Following
Navy,
after his
going to boot
pops.
camp in late August.
Yeah. And as you're going into that and into this, I mean, that is as new of a next chapter as a next chapter can be,
Yeah.
right? How are you looking forward to growing, like personally, but also growing in your faith while you're going on to next new things?
I would say that puts a lot of responsibility on me to follow my faith independent of others.
Yeah.
So it puts the pressure on me to say, hey, go to church today. It's not like your parents are going, just hop in the car and they'll drive you to church. It's like, I need to go today on my own. I can't be reliant on others telling me to go to church. I can't be reliant on other people telling me you have to read your Bible, you have to pray daily. I have to do that on my own.
Yeah.
Completely. And that's not to say I'll have community there, but it's to say I'll need to be able to pursue that community.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
That's good. What's one lesson or takeaway that you would want people to take from hearing your story today?
Takeaway from here, I would say, don't want to say independence. I want to say, it's a good word for it, self-reliability on being able to tell yourself, I need to read the Bible today. I need to pray today. I need to pray about this. And I need to go to church. It's not, I don't want to say you're independent of your community.
Yeah, you like take responsibility.
Yeah, you take responsibility
faith.
for your
Yeah.
faith. You need
Yeah.
to take responsibility of your own faith.
Yeah.
You need to say, I am a Christian. You shouldn't let others tell you you're a Christian. You
Right.
should be like, I am a Christian.
Yeah.
It's an internal thing and it radiates outward. It's not an external thing where someone says you are a Christian. You're like, oh, I agree. It's
Mhm.
I am a Christian.
Right.
Yeah.
That's really
This is
good.
my identity.
That's
Yeah.
really good.
Yeah. That was so great to hear. Any last like closing thoughts or things you want to share?
Closing thoughts or things I want to share. I would say that's the main message of be self-responsible for your faith.
Yeah.
Make sure you can be a Christian without having to be told you're a Christian, sort of deal. Make sure you live it out as often as you can. We are mirrors of Christ. We're made in the image of Christ, and we're meant to bear that image. So we're meant to show the world what we believe and who we are. We're meant to be standing out so that people can see that's a Christian, and that they'll be intrigued and be like, well, what is a Christian? Why are they like this? And it hopefully can spark questions in non-Christians about Christianity. And so hopefully they too can become Christians, and we can all share in the salvation given to us by Jesus Christ.
Right there.
I mean, what else is there to say?
Yeah,
That was so good.
honestly. That was great. Well, thank you guys for joining us for another Impact Students podcast with another impactful story from one of our student leaders. It was so amazing to hear. And I hope that you got some great takeaways from that. Maybe some ways that you can really buckle down and get serious about your faith and take some responsibility for it. We can't wait to see you again another time for another impactful story. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.